Letter of former U.S. government officials to President Barack Obama. Delist MEK now. Protect Camp Ashraf. The Washington Post, October 6, 2011. We are writing to ask you to take immediate steps to ensure the safety of 3,400 MEK members who are currently at Camp Ashraf in Iraq. The two issues, the designation and the attacks, unfortunately are connected. One of the reasons given for the attack is the continued U.S. designation. Since that designation has now been removed by the EU and the UK, in effect, only the Iranian regime is left supporting our continued designation, which has long since been devoid of any factual basis. The United Nations has classified the residents of Ashraf as asylum seekers and has expressed a willingness to send monitors into the camp to ensure their safety. They are hesitant to do so because they don't believe the monitors could be adequately protected. We call on you to provide U.S. troops to protect the monitors and the residents as we promised to do so 7 years ago. Names are in alphabetical order. Ambassador John Bolton, Secretary Andrew Card, General James Conway, Governor Howard Dean, Director Louis Freeh, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, Congressman Patrick Kennedy, Judge Michael Mukasey, Ambassador Mitchell Reed, Governor Ed Rendell, Secretary Tom Ridge, General Hugh Shelton, Senator Robert Torricelli, General Charles F. Wald. The rising people of Syria alongside Ashraf residents. The Iran-Syria Nations Friendship Committee, consisting of dozens of organizations, parties, and associations, along with 1,000 Syrian opposition figures, condemned the attack on Ashraf by Maliki's government at the behest of the Iranian regime and the Iranian regime's involvement in the crackdown of the Syrian people's uprising. This committee also welcomed Europe's initiative in searching for a peaceful and lasting solution for the issue of Ashraf under the supervision of the European Union, the United States, and the United Nations, especially the positive efforts of EU Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton in this regard. Mohammad Abdulrazak Aid, a leading figure in establishing NGOs in Syria, called on these committees to support Ashraf residents and the necessity of an international investigation into Nouri Maliki's crimes in Ashraf. Declaration of over 30,000 Iraqi University students. International protection for Ashraf residents. Lift the cruel and inhumane siege on Ashraf. Over 30,000 Iraqi University students issued a declaration condemning the brutal April 8, 2011 attack on Ashraf as an act of crime against humanity and called for an international investigation on the perpetrators of this horrific attack. The signatories of this declaration announced, "We Iraqi youths, university students, and professors consider Maliki's end-of-the-year deadline against Ashraf as an attempt to cover up the crimes against humanity in Ashraf. We warn the international community, Arab countries, and Iraqi MPs and political figures on this subject, especially since it is crystal clear that all these criminal measures are carried out at the behest of the fascist regime ruling Iran, a regime that through its vast interferences and terrorist attacks has made Iraq an unsafe country. We condemn the cruel siege on Ashraf, especially the medical blockade and psychological torture with over 300 loudspeakers installed for the psychological torture of Ashraf residents. Supporting the international community's efforts to reach a logical and peaceful solution, we call on the UN to assume the protection of Ashraf residents who have legally lived in this country for 25 years and are considered refugees under the 4th Geneva Convention. Iraqi MPs encourage government to cooperate with UN to resolve Ashraf crisis, calling for withdrawal of forces and lifting camp siege." Omar Khalaf, Iraqi Slate representative. If this issue is carried out in the context of dialogue with the government, positive results will be obtained in relation to humane treatment towards these refugees. Dr. Zafar Al-Ani of the Iraqi Coalition Leaders. I strongly support and welcome the responsible and constructive decision of EU Foreign Policy Chief Baroness Catherine Ashton in appointing a special envoy for Camp Ashraf, which stands with the context of the international effort to assist the Iraqi government in reaching a peaceful and legal solution in this case. Haydar Mullah, Parliament Human Rights Commission reporter and Iraqi Slate spokesman. This measure will help prevent security forces from repeating violations and previous attacks against Ashraf. Dealing inappropriately with the issue of Ashraf will pave the path for an attack against the residents and the violation of their rights. Iraqi MP Hissam Abdul Karim of the Iraqi Coalition. Appointing an envoy for Camp Ashraf is an act of support by the UN to solve this case, especially since Camp Ashraf residents are refugees covered by the 4th Geneva Convention. Iraqi Coalition member Nahede Al-Daeni. The government's measure to expel Camp Ashraf residents by force from Iraq are inhumane acts far from the principle of democracy that this government must abide.